So without further ado, Congressman Randy Biggs.
Thank you very much. You know, this is a great site because you are the people who make a difference. You're the people who are actually going to drive the election and restoration of Arizona to where it needs to be. I'm not kidding you. If you saw some folks across the street, some guests of ours, their faces are literally melting. They're so angry. They're so upset. And it's really sad. But the reason they're upset is because they didn't win. And they didn't win because we have the better message. Our cause is just. Our cause is for our families, for our freedom, for our faith. And I'm not sure what their plan is. And they're not quite sure what it is. And in the United States Congress today, they changed who their spokesperson is, and now it's kind of AOC and Jasmine Crockett. So you know them. I wasn't sure you did. But what is happening is, when President Trump got elected, he knew who he wanted to work with. He knew what he wanted to accomplish. And he'd spent the 4 years in the wilderness, so to speak, preparing to come forward and drive this country back to where it needs to be. And so we were in this pendulum that was kind of stuck over here, and now the pendulum's swinging here, and it's slowly going to fall right back to here. And I'll tell you, there's something that the founders gave us. They gave us a lot, but in the United States Constitution, they gave us the form of government that is a federalist form of government. It's not a national government, it's a federalist government.
That's right.
But over the last 130 years approximately, we've become a national government, haven't we? It's upside down. We constantly have to go to the federal government. I think President Peterson will probably agree with me. Spend about 85% of your time responding to federal mandates, as opposed to driving what Arizona's citizens want, desire, and hope to have. So what President Trump has done, he has said, he's not talking about federalism, but he's giving us federalism. And you know how he's doing that? He's dismantling the federal government. Dismantling the federal government. So when he says, when President Trump says, we're going to eliminate the Department of Education. This is a department that there's no constitutional authority for it whatsoever. It was founded by Jimmy Carter and is way out the door. It had just dozens of people, had a small budget in the few millions of dollars, and now it sits over $150 billion. And thousands of employees. And President Trump says, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to get rid of that, and the states are going to take that on.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I will tell you, Warren Peterson, who's now running for AG, to replace the current AG. You all filled in a blank, and I know I read what's coming in your faces. I can't say those words. But he's running for AG, and he and I got to meet last week, a week ago today, as a matter of fact, in Washington, D.C. with EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. And Lee invited us to go to, he said, I've got some big announcements coming up. You want to come on out and sit there? And I couldn't stay, but Warren stayed. You've never seen more deregulation happening than what's happening at the EPA. 31 major rules being emasculated, erased, gone, obliterated. And what does that mean? It means that the states are going to have the authority and recognized authority, and we'll get to have the opportunity to say how we want to enforce clean air, clean water rules. There isn't anybody here that wants dirty water, dirty air. But we sure would like to regulate it, knowing that it's done by people who live here, not by some yo-yo in a cubicle in Washington, D.C. So that's what it's all about. And so that's one side of the house of federalism, the new federalism. The other side of the house of new federalism is the notion of tariffs. And people are like, oh, well, we don't know, tariffs going to cost a lot of money. There's a lot of reasons that you do tariffs, not the least of which is you bring in a little bit of money, right? You do. But you protect and preserve American industry and business. You foster what's necessary for us to grow, get creative, and develop. What made America one of the richest countries in the world is what President Trump keeps bringing back up. He says, if you look at the 1800s, what did we do? Well, we didn't have income tax for most of that time. And we had tariffs. And we followed the pre-16th Amendment tax structure in the Constitution. We need to get rid of the 16th Amendment, y'all. You have to get rid of the 16th Amendment. And you also have to get rid of the 17th Amendment. If you do those two things, we'll become, and you keep on the path that President Trump has said, we will be an absolutely free, prosperous, faithful, hopefully holy people. That's what we need to be. That's the vision. Now, I am running for governor. And I thought I would just tell you why for a second. First of all, I'm an Arizona native, and I grew up in southern Arizona where Mo Udall, how many of you remember Mo Udall? Yeah. So Mo Udall was a friendly leftist, I call him, because, he was kind of a pragmatic socialist, and he was a very funny guy. And we liked Mo Udall, but we never voted for him in my household. But we also had Barry Goldwater. Now, can you imagine anything less in unison than, it's like when I sing, I'm in tune, but the band's not. And that's kind of how they were. But the bottom line is, they cared about the state. They cared about the state. And leftists today, they don't care about the state. They don't care about the country, except to hate it. And that's the changes that have to take place. And I look at it and I say, in our own state, under what President Peterson did and others, all of you in this room did, you gave us an expanded legislative majority in both houses, the House and the Senate. You gave us all 5 Republicans on the Corporation Commission. You gave us Justin Heap in Maricopa County, Republican. And let's face it, Donald J. Trump won Arizona by more than any other battleground state by raw numbers and percentage. So the question is, why do we have 3 people at the top of state government that want to turn us into a sanctuary city state? They want to prevent us from having election integrity. They want to basically screw up our water system. They've devised a water plan where you can't build a single-family dwelling in Queen Creek or Buckeye. That's what this administration has done. And they pride themselves on how many vetoes last year? 200 vetoes. That's what this administration is doing. So we have a legislature that's producing good conservative laws, and we have an administration that says no. So I said, first of all, Washington is a dredge. It needs to be dredged. It's a swamp. And I've hit my head against the wall enough, and I do believe that we're turning the corner there. We could talk about that for a little bit. But the reality is this. This state needs someone who has experience in the state legislature, who understands the rules and how that process works. Someone who understands the executive branch, because I've been the Senate president and worked with 2 governors very closely. And so you see how that works, so you get to know that part of it. Someone who actually has President Trump on I have his personal cell number on my speed dial. Someone who talks with him on a regular basis. Someone who knows the cabinet members. So we sat down again today, Warren and I did, with Lee Zeldin, who weeks ago I asked him to come to Arizona. He came to Arizona. He'll be in today and tomorrow. And he's got great news for us that I don't know that we can break. But he's got great news for Arizona. You gotta have a tease. You gotta have a tease. Come on, you guys. So Lee Zeldin. I talked to Sean Duffy, he's the transportation secretary. Good friend. I've taken him to the border. I've taken his wife to the border. You know, Rachel Campos Duffy. We've been assaulted and vandalized together with her crew and me by illegal aliens tossing bricks and rocks at our cars and at us. Good relationship with the Duffys. And so I asked him to come, and he's planning on coming because we want to talk about everything from I-11 to other places around this state that need the attention of transportation. And I could go down and give you additional ones, whether it's Veterans Administration. Many of them are my friends. I can pick up the phone. I have their cell numbers. That's what I think Arizona needs because, and I told President Trump this, I said, you're going to need MAGA governors. You're going to need MAGA governors because you're actually giving us more to do here. So we need to do that. And so I'll tell you that Byron Donalds, who's a friend as well, he's going to be the governor. He's going to Florida. And I told Byron yesterday, I said, Byron, after I'm governor and you're governor, I want you to think about 45 to 60 days in of our term. I said, you're going to see some red lights kind of in the distance getting further from you. That will be Arizona. You'll be looking at our taillights as we blow past Florida. We become the most powerful conservative free state in the country. That's what we need to do. She's
coming up to you.
She's coming. I see her coming up there. About 2 minutes ago. You're a politician. I got the microphone. Come on now. I just want to say a word about our Maricopa County Sheriff, Jerry Sheridan.
Yeah.
What an upgrade. I appreciate what you and your wife are doing with regard to stopping the scourge of child sex and human trafficking. Arizona has the most porous human trafficking corridor, and frankly, since it's in the U.S., in the world. And it's right on our southern border, and you follow the Vehicle Valley on up, and you come out to I-8. There's only about 40, 45 miles as the crow flies to our valley.
That's right.
And we have got to stop that scourge. And it's just moving back and forth from, Phoenix, L.A., and wherever these big events take place. And we've got to get our law enforcement together so we can stop it. And one thing I will tell you is, when I'm governor, the Department of Public Safety is going to have every resource it needs to stop that scourge and make sure we are safe as a citizenry. And with that, I just say thank you for letting me take a few minutes tonight. If you see some of our friends across the street, take a tissue for them. They're feeling good. Thanks for letting me be here with you tonight. God bless you.